Good morning. When you're ready, if you want to take a seat on your mat, just a comfortable seat, cross-legged. My name's Helen, and this morning I'm going to take you through a hour's Vinyasa flow class. We're going to be working through some sun salutations, helping to warm up the body and energize, and we're going to be bringing in some eagle arms, so Garudasana and a Garudasana balance. So I hope you enjoy it. So just sitting nice and comfortably on your mat. We're just going to, when you're ready, just perhaps put the hands loosely on your thighs, spine nice and long. So we're lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, perhaps closing the eyes. Just bringing your focus to the breath. Just feeling present. Letting any thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge them, and then let them go. Just coming back to the breath, back to the here and now, and back to your practice. Slowly open the eyes, and on the next inhale we're just going to raise the arms above the head and exhale back to Anjali Mudra, the heart center. Twice more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands to the heart center. One more time. Back to the heart center. So we're just going to work through some side bends. So right fingers or hand just to the right hip. We lengthen up through the left arm. We're just going to bend over to the right. So you're really working through the lift rather than forcing the bend. You might have a slight bend in your right arm here, gazing up towards the fingers. Perhaps the little fingers going to face towards the floor, and just feeling the stretch through the left-hand side of the body. Exhale, left hand down. I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So right hand lifts, really lifting tall before we take it over towards the left. Try not to roll forward here, just relaxing, just warming up the body so as you feel comfortable. And take the right hand down. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Just bend over that right side. And the left hand down. Inhale, the right hand up. I'm just going to take it over and relax. So we're just going to swap the feet the other side. Should be comfortable here. If you are on a block or you want to take a block, more comfortable sometimes to have the hips slightly higher up. We're just going to take a twist. So placing the right hand at the base of the spine, we're going to lift up the left, and we're going to place the left hand onto our right thigh. So lifting up as we inhale, we're going to exhale, look over the right shoulder. So inhale, lift, exhale, twist. You might find you just twist a little further on each exhale. You might sit a little taller the nearer that right hand is to your spine. Just easing into the poses, feeling comfortable, lifting through the crown center. And then just leaving the hands where they are, taking the gaze over to the left. We're going to lift that right arm up and cross it over so it's on top of our left thigh, so our arms are crossed in front of us, shoulders are back and down. From here we're going to come into our eagle arms, Garudasana arms. So if we lift the arms up, and we're just going to coming to the full expression of the pose. Perhaps this is enough for you. You can just cup hold of the shoulders, but try and lift up the elbows. You may just be in a crossed arm position, and that's great. You might have back of the palms together. And if you're super flexible, you may be able to touch the palms together. Just while we're in this pose, remembering to bring the shoulders back and down. Slightly lift the elbows to the level with the shoulders. Unravel the arms coming up into cactus arms, so elbows level with the shoulders, and just release the hands back down to the thighs before we take it the other side. So left hand comes to the base of the spine, right arm lifts, and take the right arm onto the left thigh as we gaze over the left. Inhaling, lengthen, and exhale, look a little further. Take the twist a little deeper. Hips remain facing forward, sit bones both remain on the floor. We're just twisting from the upper body. Inhale, lift, and exhale, twist. Leaving the hands where they are, just bringing the gaze over to the right. We're going to lift the left arm even, put it on top of our right knee, and we're going to come back to our eagle arms, whichever variation works for you. Just feeling the broadening of the shoulders. Unraveling to cactus arms and bringing the arms back. Excellent. So from here, we're just going to come into our child's pose. You can just roll over your knees, perhaps take a block away if you've got anything. Or just coming onto your side through all fours and coming into our child's pose. So toes touch, space between the knees. You might find, especially if you've got any tightness in the back, it's more comfortable to keep the knees slightly closer together. And when we're here, we're just going to bring the head onto the mat. The arms can go either side of the legs, or if you want an extra stretch, you can bring the hands in front of you. Anytime during the practice you want to take child's pose, that's great. It's a great restoratory pose. Just coming back to the breath, and then we can just pick up wherever we are in the sequence. So when we're here, the forehead's on the floor, you might massage the forehead, just turning very slightly to the right and the left, feeling the space in the lower spine, just letting the muscles relate to this pose, coming back to the breath. The next inhale is coming up through all fours. We're going to go into a puppy pose here, so just take the fingers really to the corner of the mat. You might go a little further, and really want to keep the hips over the knees here. And we're just going to relax the forehead back down to the floor. But this time, instead of rounding our back, we've got a small arch in the back. So relaxing through the shoulders. You may come up onto fingertips. Your back's super flexible, or you just the way your anatomy works, you might find it more comfortable to put the chin on the floor, to gaze forward. Otherwise, just keeping the forehead engaged on the floor, listening to the breath as you feel the stretch. Next inhale, just looking towards the hands, we're coming back through all fours, and we're going to come into Sphinx. So taking the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, and make sure that they're shoulder distance apart. Palms of the hands are flat on the floor, fingertips facing forward. The feet should be hip width distance maybe a little bit more, and you may find just dropping the heels out to the side just create some more space in the sacrum. If you just maybe just have a play around with that and just see where you feel comfortable. We're going to just bring the heart centre through. The gaze is not lifted, the chin is nice and connected towards the neck, and we're just going to look just further forward than our hands as you feel the back extending, shoulders broaden, and listening to the breath. Next inhale, up through all fours, and we're going to tuck the toes, come into downward facing dog. So first downward dog of the practice. We're just going to make sure hands are shoulder distance apart, feet are hip distance apart. I'm trying to get some space between the fingers, so the fingers should be really wide and splayed. Perhaps bending the knees when we first come into the pose. We're really working on the elongation between the palms and the hips. And the hips are driving up towards the ceiling. Perhaps just bending one knee at a time. Become comfortable in this pose. Head hangs heavy, gaze is between the legs. Just coming to settle. So relax the heels down towards the floor, it doesn't matter if they don't make it. We're working on bringing the chest towards the thighs. Keeping the shoulders away from the ears, nice and broad. Just feeling the flow of energy from the palm of the hands all the way through the shoulders, the back and up to the sit bones as they reach towards the ceiling. So inhale, just gaze forward, and we're just going to step forward to the front of our mat into our forward fold, Uttanasana. So the knees may be bent here, hands either side of the feet. With the knees slightly bent, we're just going to ragdoll up to our mountain pose, Tadasana. So we're just going to break down our forward fold slightly, and we're going to come into Bhujangasana. So with the feet hip width distance apart, and keep the hands on the hips here, or perhaps in the small of the back. We bend the knees, just going to bend forward, maintaining that arch in the small of the back as we come forward. And as soon as you feel that arch leaving, we're just going to round over at that point. So at that point, really, at least our lower ribs should be in contact with our thighs. So you might have to really bend the knees here. So with the chest and the thighs in contact, we're going to put the hands either side of the feet. And then we're going to let the head roll and lift the sit bones up towards the ceiling. So your knees may be straight, probably going to be a little bit bent. Just keeping a softening in the knees wherever you are in this pose. We can take the first two fingers and hook them underneath the toes, and we're going to place our thumbs on top of the toes. So engage here. We've got this sort of pushing and pulling effect between our fingers and our toes. So we're going to push down with our thumbs and we're going to push up with our fingers. So with this resistance, you might find that your elbows come out to the side and we're really engaging the arms as we bring our head further down, bring our chest further onto our thighs. Again, no forcing, no pushing. Keep the knees as bent as you need to feel the chest and the thighs in contact with each other. Just gradually, as you breathe, relax into this pose, you might find you go a little deeper. Inhale, lift the gaze, straighten the arms, bend the knees, and come up to standing. So we move on to sun salutation A, just warming up the body. So big toes touch space between the heels, shoulders back and round, core is engaged, sit bones are tucked under, crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling as we find our balance. Come back to the breath in this pose. On your next inhale, lift the arms, lift them a bit diagonal in front of you to start with. If you're really well practiced and confident with putting your arms high, that's great. We sometimes have a tendency to lift up and bring the shoulders up at the same time, or force our shoulders further than they're really comfortable in doing, and we can get the same effects through just lifting at a diagonal. So if you're used to it and you're happy, that's great. Otherwise, perhaps just try this for today, and when we're in this position, just try to bring the shoulders back, but at the same time we're really reaching through the ends of those fingers, so it's quite a strong stance in the arms. So we'll just give that a go. So inhale, arms lift, exhale, chest and thighs meet as we come into our forward fold. Let the head go, hands either side of the feet. Inhale, bend the knees, flatten the back. So we're in forward fold, a half forward fold, sorry, here. Exhale, we're coming back to plank. I'm ready for Chaturanga Dandasana. We can take this knees, chest and chin into our cobra. We come back with control to the floor, swap the feet, come back either through knees, or you can drive the hips straight up through to downward facing dog. So just checking alignment in downward facing dog, that our fingers are open, our feet are hip distance apart, perhaps got a slight tuck in the heels of the feet, and they just come out just slightly, so when you look down you can't see your heels when you look through your legs. Just really working on the length through the spine, hips up towards the ceiling, coming back to the breath. As we inhale, look forward and just stepping back your feet to the front of the mat. So we're in our half fold, coming through our forward fold, our Uttanasana, bending the knees and coming back up, bringing the hands in a diagonal in front of you and back to the heart center. So we'll take this again. Inhale, lift the arms, lift the gaze. Exhale, forward fold, head comes down, hands either side of the feet. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back with the left, then the right through plank. You may come all the way down with control, chest and hips at the same time as we inhale. Cobra, lift the gaze, lift the shoulders. Back down to the floor, swap the feet, and either through your knees or pushing straight back and up through to downward facing dog. Settling here, broaden the shoulders. Bend the knees if you need to bring the chest to the thighs. Feeling strong. Just coming back to the breath. As you inhale, just lift the gaze, look at the hands. You can jump, step or hop back to the front of the mat. From here into our half fold, forward fold, bend the knees, lift the arms, back in front and back to our heart center. So one last time, lift the arms, lift the gaze. Exhale, chest and thighs meet, forward fold, hands either side of the feet. Inhale, half fold. Exhale, through Chaturanga Dandasana, push the feet back and we come through our Chaturanga. Inhale, feet on the floor, lift the gaze, lift the shoulders. Exhale, back to the floor, swap the feet, drive the hip up towards the ceiling and settling in your dog. Just checking that one foot's not in front of the other, one hand's not in front of the other. Just noticing if there's equal space either side of your toes either side of your little fingers. Really remembering to bring the shoulders down, pushing the hips up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift the gaze, look towards the fingers, step, hop or jump the feet back to the front of the mat into our half fold. Forward fold Uttanasana, bend the knees, lift the arms, coming up through to mountain pose. Excellent. Okay, so we're just going to take a couple of sun salutation B's now, so bringing in Utkatasana, chair pose. So when we take out Utkatasana, if you come to the front of the mat, we're still big toes touch space between the heels. As we sit down, I want to really try and keep those knees coming together, but at the same time pushing them apart. So they're not sticking together, but there's real pressure from the inside and the outside. The adductors and the abductors are both working to keep the knees where they are. We want to make sure that we're not sticking the bottom out, arching the back, so we're really bringing the ribs down, which is going to really take the pressure off the lower back and work the muscles that we really want to work. And the arms coming up, again, shoulders really retracted back in their socket as we're reaching through the fingertips. So coming to the front of the mat into Utkatasana, so sitting back down, arms come forward at a diagonal, gaze towards the fingers, really looking at those knees. And exhale, chest to thighs, coming into Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, your version. Keep the elbows tight to the chest. Inhale, through cobra, feet on the floor. Exhale, back down and coming through knees or straight up to downward facing dog. You want to replace the right thumb with the right foot. So right foot comes forward, toes face forward. The back foot comes through at a 45-degree angle. And before we lift up into our warrior one, just make sure the knee is in line with the ankle and not tracking in towards the centre of the mat. So really placing the weight in that right leg as we lift up through warrior one. Exhale, straight back down, so hands either side of the feet. Turn the left foot back, so we're in a sort of runner's lunge position. Before you take the right foot back to meet the left. Through our Chaturanga Dandasana, feet on the floor. Lift the gaze, lift the chest, cobra. Back down to the floor, swap the feet as we come back up through downward facing dog. This time the left foot replaces the right hand. Swap the right foot to a 45-degree angle. Quick check on the alignment on the left leg as we drive through the left, coming up through warrior one. Take the hands back down, swap the back foot so that both sets of toes are facing forward. Left meets the right as we come through Chaturanga, remembering to take the knees option if you want to. Up through cobra, back with control, change the feet, driving up through the hips into our downward dog. Taking a few breaths here. Check on your alignment. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Head hangs loose. And as you inhale, look towards the fingers, bend the knees, hop, jump or step back through our half fold and forward fold. And we're going to come back through Utkatasana. So big toes touch, space between the heels, knees are bent, sitting down like we're in a chair, remembering to keep the ribs in before we lift the arms. Then coming up through standing. So we're just going to take that one more time. So coming back through our Utkatasana. Exhale, chest meets the thighs, hands either side of the toes, head looks towards the knees. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back with the left through our Chaturanga Dandasana. Coming up as we inhale, cobra. Exhale, back to the floor. Swap the feet, drive the hips up through downward facing dog. Right foot replaces the right hand. Left toes turn in 45 degrees. Check the alignment on the right before you put the pressure through the right leg and come up through warrior one. Exhale, hand by the side of the front toes. Swap the left so they're facing forward. Right means left. Straight back through chaturanga. Lift the gaze, lift the chest, back to the floor, swap the feet, back through downward facing dog. Remembering to take child's pose at any time coming through your knees. It's all good. So you're swapping the left foot and the left hand this time. Swap the right foot so it's a 45-degree angle. Checking the alignment in the left before we come up through our warrior Virabhadrasana. Exhale, hand either side of the left, swap the right foot back through Chaturanga Dandasana, coming up through Cobra, back to the floor, and back up through Downward Facing Dog. And back to the breath, feeling the energy flowing through the body. And as you inhale, look towards the hand, step, hop, or jump back to the front of the mat. Half lift, forward fold, and we're coming back through Utkatasana, our chair pose. As we sit down, bring the ribs down, gaze towards the fingers, holding here a couple of seconds. Coming back up to standing and to Tadasana. Brilliant. Okay, so we should feel nice and warm now. Have a drink if you need one. Just coming back to the breath, and when you're ready, we'll just come back to the front of the mat. Fantastic. Okay, so from here, so come into triangle. So take the right foot out. We should be about 3.5 feet distance between the feet. We're going to turn the right toes facing to the front, or in my case the back of the mat, and the left feet are going to come in at a 45-degree angle, so the same angle that the rear foot was in our warrior. So keeping the hips facing forward along the long edge of your mat. Take the shoulders back and down, and we're going to bring the arms out to a T shape. So from here, the full expression of the pose is to put your hand at the back of the right foot, but just for today we're just going to work on some alignment. So just hinging over, we're going to take the hand just to the shin as we lift the left arm and the left fingertips up towards the ceiling. So we're really working on bringing that left arm in a line with the right, the leg and the foot. So if we were leaning here against a wall, everything would be touching. So perhaps just gazing up at the left fingertips and seeing if that left arm is in alignment with that right foot. And then taking the gaze back up towards the ceiling. So we're relaxing this left hip, right hip is really tucking under, and we're engaging our abs and our obliques. Looking up towards the top hand. Taking a slight bend in the knee before we come back out. Feet face forward, arms stay where they are as we take the feet the other way. So left toes facing towards the front or the back of the mat, the short edge of the mat. Right foot comes in at the 45-degree angle. Hips are square to the long edge of the mat as we hinge over the left. If you're finding this easy, perhaps bring the palm resting the front of the calf, engaging the core a little bit more and really pushing back through the chest, so really leaning back through that upper arm, gazes towards the top fingertips, both legs are strong and engaged, especially in the inner thighs, the adductors. Breathing. And then just looking down towards the left, bending the knee slightly as you come up through to a standing position. So we're just going to come to the front of the mat, take a quick vinyasa. So inhale, lift the arms, exhale, coming through, forward fold, inhale, half lift, step back through Chaturanga Dandasana. If you want to take up dog here, that's also great, coming onto the toes, dropping down halfway, coming up through up dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and back to downward facing dog. This time we're going to lift the right leg up into our three-legged dog, bend the knee into the chest, and we're going to step the right foot to the front of the mat. So we're going to come up into our warrior two this time. So left feet at 45-degree angle, checking the alignment again, knee over the ankle before we windmill the arms open into warrior two. Gaze is towards the front fingers. I'm just going to turn around so I can see you. Excellent. So in warrior two, it's quite a strong pose. If you feel like you're out of balance, just take the left foot out slightly so you've got more space between the hips. So arms are strong. We're feeling like somebody's pulling our fingers. So we're in a tug of war and somebody's pulling our fingers. Arms are really engaged. Sink the hip down. Let's go a little further and hold here. We're going to drop the right arm onto the right thigh as we come into our extended side angle, lifting the left arm, the top arm, by the side of the ear, gazes towards the fingers. Fingers are facing forward, little finger facing towards the floor. Feel the line of the energy between the heel and hand. So take the arms back, we're going to reverse warrior. So back arm onto the back leg, lifting up, slight back bend here. And cartwheel the hands back to the front of the mat. Coming through your level, either Chaturanga Dandasana, full expression, into up dog, knees chested up and chin. And when you're ready, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Coming back to the breath. Inhale, lift the left leg, three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee to the chest as you step the left forward between the hands. Change the back foot at 45-degree angle as we windmill back through our warrior two. Make sure that the knee's not tracking inwards, so just have a quick glance down here. Turn around again so I can see. Brilliant. And perhaps just dropping down a little further, arms are strong. Make sure the back and the right are level with each other. The one's not coming forward or back as you gaze towards the front. Excellent. And take the left arm onto the left thigh, bringing the right arm up and over by the side of the ear, really sinking down into that left leg. Gazes towards the fingers, or maybe just past the elbow, little finger facing downward. That back heel strong and grounded into the mat. Perhaps roll that shoulder back slightly, so rather than coming forward too much, we're really trying to keep chest open. Coming back through warrior two and reverse warrior. So rear hand comes to the back, lifting the gaze, keeping the bend in the front leg, and then windmilling your arms back over to the front of the mat, stepping the left to the right, Vinyasa, Chaturanga Dandasana, up dog or cobra, back to the floor, swap the feet through your knees or lifting back up through downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here, checking your alignment, bringing the shoulders back down. Next inhale, gaze towards the hands, bend the knees and hop, jump or skip back to the front of the mat into our half fold, forward fold, and coming back up, arms overhead, hands to the heart center. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to come into Prasarita Padottanasana, so our wide-legged forward fold. So if you come to the long edge of the mat, I'm about to come to the back, so the heels are level with the back of the mat. Just make us help, or it lets us help, should I say, to see if our feet are in alignment. So feet are straight forward, and we should be with our ankles pretty much underneath our wrists at this point. I'm just going to keep the hands on the hips as we maintain the arch to start with in the spine as we bring the chest forward. So when we're about halfway, you should feel the work in the adductors here. And when you're ready, just relaxing the head down towards the mat. We're going to take the hands on the mat in line with the feet, flat on the mat, fingertips facing forward. Elbows may be bent and underneath your shoulders. And as we drop the head towards the floor, we want to feel like we're pushing the mat forward. So really engaging with the hands as we push down through the arms to lower the head further. If your head's comfortably on the floor here, perhaps just bring the feet in slightly, just to engage those adductors a little bit more. Just holding here, breathing, focusing on the breath, lifting the sit bones up towards the ceiling, head is relaxed. As you inhale, come up onto the fingertips, slight bend in the knees, bring the hands back to the hips, and we come up to standing. Fantastic. So we did a little bit of work with eagle arms earlier, Garudasana arms, so we're going to come into the full expression of the pose. Here's a few options, so take whichever one is right for you today. So really coming to grounding on the left leg, so the left foot is strong, four corners in contact with the mat, and we're going to come up onto our toes on the right leg. So from here, just making sure shoulders are down, spine is lengthened, crown of the head towards the ceiling. And just taking a few breaths, feeling comfortable in this position before we take the right leg over the left. Now we can stay here, we can cross the right leg over the left, or we can bring the right ankle over the left calf. Take whichever position you feel comfortable in to start with. Then we're going to bring the arms left over the right, and again we can just hold on to the shoulders. We can bring the backs of the hands together, or we can take the full expression where the palms meet. Whichever way you're doing it, try and keep your elbows level with your shoulders. So when we're in our position, just focusing on something in front of us, keeping the shoulders relaxed, perhaps sinking a little deeper into that left leg. Listening to the breath, feeling strong through the posture. Just unwinding the arms through cactus, taking the feet back to the floor and crossing. Brilliant. Now we're going to take that same the other side. So coming onto the right foot, nice and strong, grounded to the floor. Perhaps wiggle the toes out a little bit, making sure all aspects of the foot are in connection with the floor. Coming up onto your left toes, and we're going to take the left foot over to the right hand side. So again, we might stay here. In fact, that's fine. You can bend the knee from here and then perhaps just lift that knee off. You're still getting a really good balance and you're still working that right leg. So staying here, perhaps bringing the foot off, or perhaps bringing the ankle to that calf. So from here, we're going to take the right arm over the left this time and coming into our variation of Garudasana, eagle pose. Focusing on the breath, lifting the elbows level with the shoulders, shoulders away from the ears. Focusing on a point in front of you. Maybe sinking down a little deeper into that right leg. And unwinding the arms, going back through cactus. Feet firmly on the floor this time. As you relax the shoulders, we come back to the breath. Fantastic. Okay, so coming to the front of the mat, we're just going to work our way down to the floor. So coming through, quick vinyasa. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, chest and knees, chest and thighs even meet into our forward fold. Inhale, lift the gaze, half fold. Exhale, coming through our plank. Holding plank here for a couple of seconds, really pushing the heels towards the back of the room, shoulders are over the wrists. And from here, we're just going to cross the legs in front of us and come into a sitting position. If that's not comfortable, just dropping the knees, coming onto the hips, and we're going to come into a cross-legged position to start with, and then we're just going to take the feet out in front of us. The toes are lifted forward, feet are flexed, core is engaged, shoulders are back and round. As we take Dandasana, so just moving the flesh away from the sit bones, really elongating through the spine, lifting the crown of the head, shoulders broadened. Really engage the legs here. So the quads, if you touch them, should feel strong. The feet are flexed and facing up towards the ceiling. Calves are engaged. It's really quite a strong posture. Okay, from here as we inhale, we're going to lift the arms. We're going to come into Paschimottanasana. So bringing the hands forward, keeping the gaze lifted and the core really engaged as we bend forward. You may just take hold of the ankles, on the calves. You may be able to reach the toes. If you can, we're going to take the first two fingers either side of the toes as we did in our wide angle fold, thumbs on top of the toes, but really keeping the shoulders back. The gaze is just past the toes, keeping the chin slightly in. Really working on each exhale. We're going to try and bring the chest a little closer to the thighs. So keeping the elbows high as you bend a little further. If you are in contact with your feet, just pushing the elbows to the side but lifting them. So the arms are also working here. Shoulders are strong but relaxed. Shouldn't feel any pain in the lower back. Chest is forward. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale. Perhaps just fold a little bit further. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. On your next inhale, just lifting the arms so they're straight, and then coming back through our Dandasana. So just going to take the right foot behind the toes facing backwards. Any issues with the knees here, just stay in Paschimottanasana. As soon as you go like that, if you feel any sort of pain, aches, uncomfortable feeling, really take the pressure off and we'll come back to the pose that we've just done. If you're okay with that, that's great. Just try and make sure that the knees, the ankles and the toes are all in alignment. Perhaps padding up that knee if it's uncomfortable on your mat, but really shouldn't feel any pain here. Left leg, feet are flexed. If you feel like you're rolling over slightly onto the left, just bring that left leg just slightly out to the side. It'll give you a little bit more balance. Aim to keep both sit bones on the floor here. As we inhale, we're going to lift forward, hands towards the feet. Same as before, lift the gaze. Chest is towards the thigh. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, perhaps come a little deeper. Elbows stay high. Maybe in contact with the shin. It's all good. Just want to make sure the chin is tucked in. Gaze is over the toes, and there's no pressure in the lower back or the knees. So when we're in these seated poses, or any poses really, we just want to be working towards our edge, but never into it or through it. We want some challenge, but not at the cost of any injury. Inhale, straighten the arms, come back up, feet come forward, and we're just going to take it the other side. So Triangle Mukha Kapita Paschimottanasana. Feet, heels and knees in alignment on the left leg. Perhaps bring the right leg just slightly out from centre if you feel like you're falling over at all. Elongating through the spine and the crown of the head before we lift the arms and reach forward to the right foot, shoulders broaden, elbows bend as we bring the chest closer to the thigh with each exhale. Remembering on a different side, so again, any aches or pains or any uncomfortable feelings in the knee, we just come back through Paschimottanasana or our seated forward fold that we did a few minutes ago. Trying to keep that left sit bone in contact with the floor. We don't want to be rolling over to the right, nice and strong. Breathing into the hamstrings, elbows are lifted. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, perhaps fold a little deeper. Inhale, sitting up straight and coming to our Dandasana seated position. So, just going to come into working a little bit of the core. So bringing the feet flat on the mat in front of you, just holding behind the knees, you lift up, the chest comes forward, head towards the ceiling. And we're going to just round the spine as we lower, keeping the feet on the floor, lowering down to the mat step by step with control. So engaging the core, lowering down, rounding the back as we come on to the mat. So we worked with Garudasana earlier, our eagle pose, and we're going to work with that again, working the core this time. So lying on the mat, we're going to take the right leg over the left, crossing above the knees. So we can stay here and we can keep our feet on the floor. We can stay here and keep our feet slightly off the floor, or we can swap, so not swap, but twist our ankles over the same as we did earlier, and the knees and the ankles can stay in alignment. So wherever you feel comfortable. We're then going to take our eagle arm, so left arm over the right as we come into our expression of eagle arms. Starting with the knees and the arms touching. As we inhale, we're going to lengthen the arms above the head, lengthen the feet towards the wall or the side of the room, and exhale, bring the arms together. So just staying here for a moment, making sure that the small of your back is really in contact with the mat here. So no forcing or pushing. It's almost like somebody's reaching a hand through the floor and bringing your tummy button in towards the floor. Make sure that we're engaging the core, not putting any pressure on the lower back. So from here, we're just going to take this 3 more times. So inhale, lengthen, and exhale, crunch together. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch together. And 1 more time, lengthen, exhale, crunch together. Unwind the arms, cactus arms on the floor, uncross the legs, and bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Taking a breath here. Really bring the lower back in contact with the floor before we take the other side. So we bring the feet off the floor, left crosses over the right. And as we did before, perhaps leaving the foot or the feet in contact with the floor, perhaps just crossing over once. Or if you're comfortable, we'll cross over the ankles as well. This time the right arm comes over the left, coming into our eagle arms. Exhaling, the knees and the arms together. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. 2 more. Together. Lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. And twist the arms and twist the legs. And we're just going to bring the right knees over to the right side. The arms can stay in cactus arms or they can come out of T position, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to gaze towards the left. And swapping to the other side, so bring the knees over to the left, gaze over to the right. When you're ready, just bringing the knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Hug the knees in towards the chest. And just lift the head towards the knees, rounding the back. Taking the head down and bringing the feet hip width distance apart. Should be able to touch the heels with your hands. Just going to take a few bridge poses, so counter pose the stomach work we've been doing. So shoulders nice flat on the floor. The chin is engaged but not looking down, so the head's just neutral here. Palms of the hands pushing through the floor. And as we inhale, we're just going to lift the hips off the floor, coming through bridge, keeping the hands where they are, engaging the glutes, lifting, holding here, and exhale, release vertebrae by vertebrae, back down towards the floor. Inhale, lift. Engaging the glutes at the top, and exhale, rounding the spine back down to the floor. One more time, inhale, lift, and exhale, and back to the floor. Bringing the knees into the chest, bringing the head to the knees, taking the feet back to the floor, and we're just going to windscreen wiper the knees over to the right, gaze to the left. Knees to the left, gaze to the right. One more time. Bringing the feet back to centre. Just bringing the soles of the feet together. The knees are out wide. And have one hand on the lower abdomen, one hand on the heart. Just coming back to the breath. Relaxing the inner thighs. Letting the knees hang heavy. Inhaling and exhaling. When you're ready, I'm just going to move into your Shavasana. So just taking the legs out long in front of you. The feet relax out to the side. Hands either side of the body, arms facing upwards, shoulders relaxed. You may prefer to bring the knees in, feet flat on the floor. Take any pressure off the lower back. If you do, maybe just let the knees roll in and touch. We focus on the breath. Listening to the body, directing any inhale to any area, discomfort, and exhaling, letting it go. Relaxing, surrendering, present on the mat. When you're ready, just coming over onto your right side, just into a fetal position. Before you lift up, coming into your comfortable seat. Placing the palms on your legs, shoulders relaxing down. Rubbing the palms together, firing the energies. Closing the eyes, placing the palms over the eyes. And then opening the eyes to the energies. Releasing the hands to the heart center, Anjali Mudra. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.